Hello everyone, welcome back to another build brought to you by me, Sarah, at Little Tree Minis. I've been super excited to do a Stardew build, so I hope I did it justice. I love Stardew. Stardew, if you're not familiar with it, is like a cute little country RPG with farming and that kind of stuff. It's really fun. I've played like, I think over 600 hours at this point. Time well spent, obviously. Very productive, as is my life. So, I want to do a Stardew build for forever. Right now I'm trying to figure out how to scale it. So, I decided I would like walk around and place tiles every 10 steps so that I could get a feel for like how far apart things are and how big things are. So I did that, and I kind of decided which buildings I wanted to include. So I'm doing the farmhouse, I'm doing the chicken coop, and I'm doing the greenhouse, because, well, those are my favorites. And I'm going to have a giant vegetable patch, which I will regret later making so large. So here we go. It starts with foam core, and like many things, I guess. Many of my builds start with foam core. Good foam core and bad foam core in this case. I went and kind of drew all over this to make my little map, and unfortunately these gouges will be visible in the final product, so you know, maybe this wasn't the best idea, and if you were gonna do this, maybe you should not do that part of this. But anyways, so this is just me mapping everything out. I have some little like placeholder objects so I can get a feel for how big things are gonna be. But it's gonna be a pretty big map, I guess. Map you'd say, diorama, whatever. And a big part of putting this thing together, I started with buildings, obviously. A big part of that is just like figuring out, trying to get things to look right. So your house is like this super cute little thing, but I don't know. It was really hard actually to figure out the sizes of stuff. And I didn't get everything right. So there's gonna be some wonky stuff, but I tried, and I guess we're just gonna go with it. So I like to make my buildings with some foam core backing. So I do cereal box on the outside, and then I do a foam core backing and piece it all together. And it gives you like a nice strong structure. And I thought about doing the inside of that house, which would have been super cute, but I just like, there's just not enough time in the day. I was like, okay, like slow down, Sarah. You can maybe do that some other time, but you don't have to do everything right out the gate. So maybe I'll do that in a different video. But anyways, I made the house. Now I'm making the roof. It has a really weird roof. I did not make the same roof. I made kind of like a standard roof, which is disappointing. I'm disappointed in myself and in my roof. But hopefully you guys can forgive me. The roof, it's like brick. It's weird. It's a weird pattern, and I don't know. I didn't do totally everything, just like the game. I'm just gonna admit that now. So you're probably gonna be disappointed at some point. Like the scale of this, it's a little smaller, you know. Like I did the siding, it is a lot smaller. My version is smaller than in the game, and I think it resulted in a house that is probably less cutesy and more realistic, which is not like what I intended, but it is just what I naturally did. So I'm trying not to feel too bad about it. I obviously am torn up inside, and I'm sorry to whoever may be also bothered by this. I'll stop talking about it now. So I'm just building a chimney. This is EVA foam, which makes for a good little chimney brick. And more foam core here. I gotta make a little deck. The deck boards are normal. This part was normal as far as building houses goes. Pretty easy. You just add the texture you want. Foam core works really great for that. So I didn't have to go use wood. I used this instead and just carved in the detail that I needed. It's got like a block foundation, so I'm just carving in some block foundation. Stones. And then I moved on to the coop, and this picture is on a rainy day, so it looks a little dreary, but the coop is really cute. And you can have chickens and ducks in Stardew. Oh, you can have rabbits that just like hop around with the ducks and stuff. Oh, it's such a cute game. I don't know if you've ever played it, but I'm just a huge fan. And I'm doing the greenhouse now. The greenhouse is like one of my favorite parts of Stardew. I always like hustle in the beginning because all I want is to get the greenhouse. It's like hard. You have to do a bunch of stuff to get the greenhouse, but I do it all. I do it like as fast as I can because I want the greenhouse because it's super cute and you can grow anything in there out of season. So that's exciting too. This is kind of like a real life greenhouse, sort of. But I was really looking forward to making this building in particular because it's all glass, and I bought this sheet of acrylic, and I think it was like $2, and my building method here is just sandwiching acrylic in between 2 layers of cereal blocks all chopped up. So pretty basic. The only downside to this approach that I found is that you end up with an edge. Like, the acrylic's pretty thick, not like super thick, but it's thick enough that you have this edge that is kind of unsightly. So I did add some trim at the end of this to hide the unseemly edges, which is just like a thing that you can do to make it not so obvious. You'll see. I don't know why I've started this building with the roof. Like, I think there's something wrong with me. I don't know why I thought I should make the roof first, but that's what I did. And it made every other part of figuring out the building harder. Because it all had to be based on whether I could get the roof on top of that, and it had to fit. So this building's really wonky. I just made bad choices, you know? Sometimes you just make bad choices and then you have to live with them. What else are you gonna do? I don't know. It's still cute. It's not as tall as it should be. I don't know. Maybe next time. Maybe next time I'll be smarter about building a building not by the roof first. Maybe I was just really excited to build the roof. I don't know. I can't go back and ask myself, unfortunately. We're never gonna know. So I'm just knocking out some painting here so I don't have to worry about it later. So that little foundation around the sides. And some dry brushing on the roof. Oh, I have to sneeze. Okay, bless me. So that's my house. I do some touch-up painting later. But at this point, I'm getting into the terrain. Obviously, using foam core offers you a lot of texture options. So I'm carving up places that'll be dirt. This is going to be a stream. I've got 2 layers, so I'm digging this out. I can actually go 2 layers deep, so that's what I'm doing. And then I had to prime everything, and now I'm getting down some color for grass, which kind of like is really helpful when you want to visualize what you're doing. So at this point, I'm doing some cliffs. There are like cliffs behind your house and around in areas, so I'm just stacking up some cardboard, gluing it together, and then throwing air dry clay on it, and that makes a cliff. Pretty simple. I don't use XPS foam because it makes me cringe. Like, I can't stand it, the sound of it, so this is the next best alternative, I guess, to having some nice cliffs. And I'm checking them up a bit to match the game. And I also carved some stairs in. I realized I didn't like this very much, so I shortened the cliff on that side, which is always fun after you've finished working on something, realizing you wish it was another way. But I also made stairs that go nowhere. They just drop off the cliff, so we'll call that a mistake. It wasn't intentional. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't plan well. So, it is what it is. So at this point, I'm switching to making things out of clay. I made a ton of things out of clay. I'm starting with preserve jars, which are how you can things, how you make like pickles and jam and stuff in the game. And it seemed like an easy an easy win, you know. And it was, like, these were actually really fun to make. So I was first getting warmed up. I cranked out like 12 of these things, I think. Maybe it was 9, I don't remember. And you add your little grooves so it looks like wood. I'm just checking the scale against the house. And then you put a little handle on top. And it's cute. It turns into a cute little container. How many is that? 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, so I made 12. And it didn't take very long, but it was really fun. And with that warm-up, I dove right into making a chest. And the chest, you just start with like a roundy thing, a lump of clay, and then you cut off all the sides until you have like a loafy sort of lump of clay. And then you draw your lines on there so it looks like wood. And I forgot to draw the lines on the top. I wish I could tell myself right now, like, don't do it, Sarah. Like, you forgot to make the lines on the top. But I'm about to remember. Yep, see? Oh yeah. Put your lines on the top. And then you add the, I don't know what they call that, like the banding, I guess. So yeah, the cute little metal banding. And then chop that off. And it doesn't take much to make something that looks really cute. That's the thing I like about sculpting with little things with clay. Like, you can just make it. You don't have to do very much before it turns into a super cute little thing. This all, it felt like I was making little game pieces, honestly. Like, this could be part of any little board game. I guess there's a Stardew board game. I want to say it was like $50 and maybe hard to come by. And I think I didn't want to spend $50. So I don't know what it's like. I would like to know. Maybe I should have researched that. And now I'm making a furnace. Just another little fun thing to crank out. Furnaces are how you make all your ore that you slave away in the mines to collect. You throw them in a furnace and then you have metal bars, which is exciting because then you can make other stuff. I like that about Stardew. It's really fun crafting stuff. It's kind of like Minecraft in that way. Like, you collect resources and then you get to crank out little things that you craft. Like, in reality, you would never make these things. You would never go mining, you know? That's, like, not a thing that people do in this day and age. At least not first world country people. No, that's not true. There's still coal miners. Yeah, that's not accurate. I'm just thinking, like, if I want a furnace, like, I don't go to the mine. Or whatever. Okay, I'll stop. This is going nowhere. That's part of the fun with these games. You get to pretend that you could do these things. You get to pretend that you could craft a keg. Like, in reality, you know, if I tried to make this not out of clay, it would be garbage. It would be such trash. And it would leak, probably. I'm just gonna assume it would leak a lot. And I'd probably, like, give myself botulism with anything that I tried to ferment. So that's part of the magic of games. You probably didn't need that explained to you. It's pretty obvious, but I'm in too deep now. I learned a lot. I learned that you should carve in your lines before you put your legs on. You should do everything before you put your legs on, in this case. There's a lot of, like, order things that I learned from the million things that I ended up making out of polymer clay. Like, it's so much easier if you do things in the right order. Which, if you make like 10 of something, you can learn the lessons of efficiency. Like the best way of doing something. This is not the best way. I am showing you the worst way. But I didn't record the best version. So I'm sorry about that. Just making a little spigot. I gotta paint all this stuff later. It's nice if you can use clay that is a color that will be close to what you are painting it. So I did use ecru, which is a weird color name. But I do end up painting all of this stuff later. But there you go, a little keg. First one, not great, but not terrible. They got better as I went. And now I'm just showing you some clay cutters that I got. This is like a little set. It's just like leaves and botanical things, and it's a little expensive. It was like $15 on Amazon. It's from Kyokr. But there's all these different teeny tiny little leaves, and I used so many of them to make all these little things. So like, this is my first vegetable. I made cauliflower. And this was super fun. Like, making these tiny vegetables was actually really rewarding because it went super fast. And all you have to do, like, they're pretty simple. Like, some of them are easier than others, obviously. But, like, the cauliflower was super easy. You just, like, make some rounds, make some dots, make some leaves to go around, and then you wrap the leaves around. It was, like, a pretty easy, cute little thing. And now I'm switching to making a tree, which was not an easy little thing. Trees are probably like the most complex thing that I made for this build, and they took a really long time. So I started by making these like tree stands, I guess you would say. They're like a little tripod, and I just made them out of clay, and then I baked them so that I would have like something to build on top of. And then I just mushed up foil until I had a tree-like structure. And this is just to save on clay. Not required, obviously. Lots of mushing. Doesn't really matter. You have to like kind of smooth it all out anyway, but you don't want to smooth it out too much because trees are really textured. So I smoothed down my creases, but I added a bunch of, you know, like the ridges that trees have. And then I added arms, which made this look a lot like a crazy little guy, which was fun. He was just like, ah! That lasted for a while. But at some point, it changed to being a tree and not a weird little guy. Then I had to build a structure, I guess, like something to put all the leaves on top of, because I was just going to put leaves on top of this. I wasn't going to build an actual tree. So I threw on a lot of foil to get my shape right, and then I covered it in a thin sheet of clay just so I'd have a nice base. And I kind of tucked it around all the edges, as you can see. This felt a lot like making a kid's toy. I felt like I was making like a plastic toy, especially after I baked it, because it was hollow-ish feeling. It just really felt plastic. And then I proceeded to attach like 8,000 leaves, which took a really long time, but it was really fun. It was like meditative, so it wasn't terrible. And then I added the little seam that makes it look like a leaf. The little vein, I guess you would call it, the center vein. And I made such a cute little tree. I made 4 of those. It took a long time. Melons were easy. You just make a round melony thing, melony part, like watermelon, but different because they're green. And then you put the little leaves on top. This is probably like the easiest thing to make, honestly. but also still really cute. And watermelons are profitable. That's a good crop in Stardew. If you have the patience. They take a while to grow. And I did some red cabbage. Another good crop in Stardew. Just think they're really pretty. Cabbage is pretty. I got to use like a bright pink. That's always exciting. I just kind of made a vein on the front. I tried to do stacking leaves like what cabbage is actually like, but that didn't end up looking like cabbage. So I just did a little vein. And then I cut in little leaf marks, and that's what really sells it. And then you have a little cabbage. I made a bunch of those too. Onward to kale. So yeah, those leaf cutters made a big difference with making all this stuff. And it was really fun. I really like all the different vegetables in Stardew. Like, it's really fun how you can choose what you want to grow, and it's different for each season, and the cooking is fun. And another aspect of Stardew, which is really fun, is like giving people gifts. Like, Stardew has like this very transactional way of looking at friendship. So if you want to make friends, you just like give them presents, and then they start liking you more and more the more presents you give them. So like Demetrius, one of the characters, if you just give him a strawberry like 2 times a week, because that's all you're allowed to do, then he will eventually think of you as like a great friend. I think that's awesome. Like, I kind of wish real life was like that. Like, I could just like find out a thing that somebody really likes. I'm making a river here. Sorry, I'm doing a bad job of narrating. It's just paint. I don't know. What do you want me to say? I'm just painting. So anyways, gift giving in Stardew is awesome. I want real life to be like that, because I just want to give people gifts and have them be my friend. Because it's so easy. Like, why can't it be so simple? It seems very simple. I'm working on some blueberries, and this is a hops vine, which is pretty fun to make. Those are blueberries up top, little blueberry bushes, which I think are really cute. And now I'm just cutting out a million little leaves to go on my hops plant. You gotta grow a lot of hops if you want to make a lot of beer. Because you need a lot of beer if you want to win over Pam and Shane, who are both alcoholics. It is what it is. I mean, it's not great. I mean, you could give them other things, I guess. Like, Shane likes pizza, but if you're at the bar, pizza costs 600 gold. And I think beer is like, it's like 200 or 400. It's cheaper. So I always give Shane beer, and then I feel bad about it. Because you shouldn't give alcoholics beer, but like, I want him to be my friend. And it's hard, okay? Like, it's hard. In the beginning, you're broke. You're broke. And that's why it's unfortunate that friendship is so transactional in Stardew, I guess. Because sometimes you're broke. And you just want to have friends that you didn't have to buy, but whatever. I forgot I was supposed to be telling you what I'm doing. So, this is a jelly roll. That's parlance in the clay community for, I don't know, making a roundy thing that has a spiral in it. And I'm making wood, not a cinnamon bun. So, I end up making a stump. Yes, there's my little stump. And I also made a bunch of little tiny pieces of wood to go in my wood pile on the front porch from this cane, which is another clay, polymer clay, fancy word. And my boyfriend made some tiny tools for me. He made a tiny axe and a tiny axe head. Pickaxe head, yeah. And I made some like pretty rough chickens that I didn't even show you because they weren't that great. And then the scarecrow, which is required if you don't want crows to steal your seedlings, which is always sad. The scarecrow, this might be my finest accomplishment in this whole build, honestly. Like, he's really cute in the end. I did pre-bake the little steak to make it easier to just build stuff on top of the steak. So the steak part you see is already cooked, and then the rest of this I'm just building up in layers. It felt like I was dressing a little doll, which is fun. And I guess it's a he. I don't know. The hair... Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. Super cute, right? Like, hair turned out kind of dreadlocky. But overall, super cute little guy. And I also gave him some jute thingies, which I don't know. I like cut the video out on accident, I think. So moving right along, I made a mushroom tree. Mushroom trees are amazing. Like, I wish in real life, why can't we have mushroom trees? Why isn't that a thing? They have them in Minecraft and they have them in Stardew. Why aren't they real? They're amazing. I made one. They show up based on probability in Stardew, which is fun. So sometimes you just have a tree that like, oh, I took a picture of myself with my tree because I was like really excited about it. Sometimes you, oh, there he is. So that video is like totally out of order, my bad. So yeah, you just have mushroom trees and they just pop out like you have a regular tree and it just turns into a mushroom tree and it's super exciting. So anyway, now I'm making a bee house, and this was pretty easy. I just used balsa. It's like the softest wood in the world. It's super easy to cut. It's super easy to do everything. So I just like cranked this out pretty fast. I mean, not that fast. Like I'm not amazing or something. I made it sound like, no, nothing takes any effort. Oh, I'm so good at this. That's not true. It took effort, and it probably wasn't very good in the beginning, but it got better. And then I stuck on some tiny little legs. At this point, I had gotten some bamboo skewers out, and that is like catnip to Megan. Like, she hears them, she sees that you have gotten something long and pointy out, and she will come running. So I let her have a few chomps just so you guys could appreciate her silly chompy face, because she's really cute. And then I got rid of her like the bad kitty she is. Get off my desk. Bye, kitty. So the reason I wanted these bamboo skewers is to make a fence. And there's a few different fences staggered around your property. I decided to crank these out, and I don't know. I made them too big. But basically, I was just wrapping bamboo, and I added the texture after I already assembled them, but that was harder, as I have since learned. So after making like more than one of these, I decided to texture them before assembling them, but as you can see, I had to do a whole nother set because I got them all cooked, and then I went and set them on the board and they were too big. Brilliant. And I made a dog and a super fat cat. I made two dogs technically because the first dog was too little. So then I made a bigger dog and a super fat cat. I'm not great at sculpting animals. I'll be the first to tell you. So back to the greenhouse. I still have to do the contents. Obviously, I need the inside of the greenhouse. But I need all the little containers that go inside the greenhouse. So that's what I'm showing you here. And then I just got to make a bunch of tropical plants, which was also super fun. I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. I just made like tiny bouquets of pokey looking leaves. And that's all tropical plants really are, you know? I tried to make a few different sizes and colors and styles and stuff, but they're mainly just pokey plants. So now I'm just kind of staging things just to make sure everything's gonna fit. I did carve in a wood grain on the floor, and then I gotta glue in all those containers, and I have to place everything so that the walls of the greenhouse are going to stay put and not bump into plants, so that's one thing I had to keep checking. I started with wood glue, but I ended up switching to hot glue. I hate hot glue. I'm not good with hot glue. Those little strings drive me crazy. I don't have good technique. But sometimes you just need the instant grab, and I think I'm even worse with super glue, so I wasn't going to use that. So I used kind of a mix. So that's how it turned out. And I love it. I thought it was super cute. I want to just make greenhouses all the time. Then I just had to assemble it. I used both hot glue and wood glue so it would hold for now and forever. And I sealed it off, which was a little nerve-wracking because if something goes wrong inside, I can't get in. But it's okay. It turned out okay. I made these little edge pieces so that you couldn't see the sides so well. It just kind of like sealed off that ugly edge, which I'm showing you right now. But I didn't do it on the back because I'm lazy. And now I gotta do a resin pour, but I am nervous, or I was nervous about it, so I made a tiny mini version of my board, and now I'm gonna do a mini resin pour, which is similar, but not the same, as you will see. I borrowed this. It's a UV light. I'm just distracted now. It's for curing nails, like, for gel nails, I guess. Do a tiny little bit of resin in the bottom of my creek stream bed, and I should have done a little more. I should have gone further up on the banks, so it's just curing there. I let it cure 90 seconds. It was fine. I decided I wanted it to be deeper, so I went and did a second pour, but then you could see the line. So, lesson learned. This is my first time using resin, so I didn't really know what I was doing. But I did get to practice a little before the big show, which is what you're seeing now. This is the big show. But this is like a lot deeper, actually. So what you will see, what I learned in this pour, is that I need more practice. That's probably the primary lesson. You can see all my bubbles. There's like stuff moving around in there. There's like a really deep spot. I don't know, it might have eaten the foam a little, like in that deep area. I don't know. It didn't turn out super awesome. I decided to throw some Mod Podge over the top. I did some glossy Mod Podge, and then I did ink, which I lazily just dripped straight on there. And it was weird. It made like a gooey residue. But it looked okay. I liked the color, so I decided to go with it. So I did the same thing on my big stream, and I did make the mistake, like I did just drip it straight on there, which ends up staining in one area, which is annoying because I have one area that's just like a big drip. But otherwise, I think it turned out okay. For my first resin pour, there's the one. For my first resin pour, I think it was not too bad. That's, you know, good enough, we'll say. Not too bad. I threw in some blue just to make it more Stardew colors, not so tropical. It looked pretty nice when it was dry. If you ignore like my giant divots from the bubbles. And now I'm switching to flocking. I decided to make some sponge flock, and it's super staticky, so I'm like jamming it in that container. You just grind it up with a bit of water. This is sponge, sorry. Take a sponge, grind it up with some water in a food processor, and then you mix in a bunch of paint. I did too much paint. You don't need that much paint. You can mix it up and then it looks like it's not mixing up very well, but then you just have to use your hands because it's sponge. You gotta get it like totally saturated. So I had like way too much paint and very green hand, but then you get it like really mixed in well. And I set it out in the sun to dry and then picked out stuff that was still a little blue, but for the most part, it was pretty fast, and it made a ton of, like, you know, blocking that you could use for whatever. So I'm just making some janky little bushes. They're not anything fancy, but at this point, you know, I can't make everything, like, super amazing, you know? There just isn't enough time. So I made okay bushes. And this is an okay waterfall. So we'll just celebrate how okay this is. I got some nice water looking streaminess to this waterfall. It was just army painter glue that I splattered on here and painting. And I don't know, like, you can see the crinkles from my saran wrap. It's not great. It's not a great waterfall. I can admit that. Is it an okay waterfall? I think so. That'll do. Onward. So now I'm doing the vegetable bed, which, as I mentioned earlier, was huge. I glued down some nice dirt, so it would look like dirt. That's kind of obvious, isn't it? I sprayed down some alcohol, and then I put down a bit of PVA glue plus water. And you do the alcohol so that the PVA glue doesn't just sit on the surface. It's a surface tension thing. But I basically made like a mud bath, and then, you know, when it dries, it looks nice. So I'm switching over to painting. Like I said, I have to paint all these little things so that they look the way they're supposed to look. So that took some time also. A lot of dry brushing. A lot of little details. Good practice. And then I thought that my map terrain needed some more dimension, so I'm dry brushing all over the place. Trees, and orange tree, and tree bark. Everybody gets dry brushing. Those cliffs. You can't just have one color. And Stardew, you know, for being a game, it's not an old game. Like, it actually has a lot of color. Like, there's a lot of variety in the color. So nothing looks flat, even though it is like a 2D kind of game. Nothing actually looks flat. So I wanted to have a lot of different colors. And now I'm doing static grass. And this is my first static grass application. I did it once on my practice board, obviously, but I just got this thing. It's really fun, but the grass gets everywhere. Oh my god, it's so messy. I had to clean my whole desk after this. I applied a lot. But, you know, it looks amazing. And it's really fun to do. So you just gotta do it. I wasn't gonna do Stardew and not have static grass. Come on. This is my last really exciting shot for you. I just want you to see some static grass from the side, because it's fun. So, here is my final unveiling. The house, the log, the trees, the coop. Get some chickens in here. The little tappers so you can get your oak resin. Oh, I love the greenhouse. It turned out so cute. All the little papers out front. Stardew is a really fun game, and it's very peaceful, you know? It's like pretty chill. Like, you can have a busy day, but you're still just kind of farming, or you're like goofing around in the mines, or you're collecting something. Like, it's not a stressful game. Some games you feel like you're running all over all the time and it's really stressful. Stardew is a really fun game. It's like a chill, peaceful game. Maybe I'll play it forever. Look at those little tools. They look so cute. You gotta have a flower on your porch. So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. There are a lot of really good Stardew builds out there. I tried to put a list of them in the notes. If you know of any that I didn't list, feel free to include them in the comments. I would love to see them. I've watched all of the ones that I listed except for the one with the raccoons, because that's for version 1.6 and I'm not to that part of the game yet and I don't want any spoilers. But anyway, they're all really good, and if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. That helps me out a ton, and I can't wait to see you next time. Thank you.